Welcome back to More Sip the Tally. I'm your host, Coach Evans, as I continue on my quest to count down my mock draft, playing the GM of the 31 other teams. So today we're at pick number 30, the New Orleans Saints, as you can see over my shoulder. Who that nation? Les Le Bon Ton Roulette. All that. New Orleans is my second favorite city. Actually got a chance to go to a game in the Dome last year. I love the city, love the food, love the people. Uh, couldn't be a better place to just let your hair down and have a great time. But getting to the draft portion of the content. So I was looking at the roster, and quarterback, they just brought a guy in, and they got Jameis behind him. Running back, they had Kamara, and they picked up the kid from Detroit, Jamal. A receiver, maybe it depends on what Mike Thomas does. Tight end, they got Taysom and a couple other guys. O line, they got a young, promising O line. D line, Cam is aging, but they may could go there. Linebacker, I think they said it linebacker. I really like Warner. I think Warner's number 20. I really like that kid. Um, Secondary, they got Lattimore, who's a dog. Drafted Alontae Taylor. I don't know where they feel about him. Debo, I don't really know. I know he's slated as the starter as right now, but I don't really know how they feel about him. But I personally think that when you have a dog at one corner, you need a dog at the other corner because if teams just avoid your main guy and you don't have somebody on the other side to kind of stick his chest up and be there to compete with the other team, they just gonna throw at him. And so for that reason, there's a guy on the board, and I felt like would be perfect for the Saints to pair up with Lattimore, and even if Alontae Taylor starts to show his own, then you're looking at three good corners. And because he was on my board, still at number 30, I got Emmanuel Forbes. The Saints picking Emmanuel Forbes, the cornerback out of Mississippi State. Let's kind of go through his stuff and see what he'll bring to the table. He was the All right, I'm gonna give you my thought process too as far as picking Emmanuel Forbes. I had the top edge and the top D line would be gone because I mentioned Cam being aging and that D line could be kind of suspect, but the top guys will be gone. They could go wide receiver, but it kind of depends on what Mike wants to do, and I can see if one of the good wide receivers are there, them taking it. But cornerback, having 2 to 3 good cornerbacks is always a must. I just mentioned needing to find a dog opposite of Lattimore, and so that's kind of the thought process of picking Forbes, especially when I was going through the mock draft and he was still sitting there. Let's talk about Forbes a little bit. Set an FCF record. I'm sorry, not FCS, FBS record for pick sixes in a career with six. He's 6'1", 166 pounds, ran a 4.35 at the combine, broad jumped 10 feet 11 inches. Now that 166 is concerning, but I think he dropped 5 to 10 pounds so he could make sure he get in that 4.3 range. I think he played it right around 170, 175. But 166 still is a red flag, but his skill set is real to me, Sauce Gardner like. I'm not saying he would be Sauce Gardner or be as good as Sauce Gardner, but his skill set is Sauce Gardner like. Talk about his PFF grades. In 2020, he had 68.8. That would be his freshman year. 2021, 78 even. And then 2022, he had an 87.2, which is pretty darn good for a DB. Let's talk about his stats last year. 42 tackles, had a 14.3% missed tackle rate, but he's a willing tackler, even at 166, 170, 175. He's a willing tackler. If you go back and look at some of his highlights and some of his tape, you see him sticking his nose in there against the best of the best in the SEC. He was targeted 58 times with 31 catches, so that's a catch rate of 53.4%. He gave up 3 TDs. He had 6 interceptions this year and 7 PBUs. But then you ease on over to what the NFL scouts, so to speak, talk about him, and we'll talk about his strengths and his weaknesses. Strengths we're going to start off with. He has 2-hand jabs, keeps receivers occupied and pressed, plays with smooth side shuffle and technique in deep zone, above average pre-snap play recognition. His instincts allow for quick read and react jumps on throws. So those guys, and you'll see in some of his interceptions where the kids look open, he'll undercut it. He'll kind of lag off and give you the notion that a guy's open, so to speak, baiting people and going to get it. And then once he gets the ball in his hand, he turns into an offensive player. Swings arms through catch points to separate the football, meaning he's sticking that hand through to knock balls out. Soft hands with the ability to leap and win at a high point. So those 50-50 balls are not necessarily 50-50 balls with him. Uses his length as an effective recovery tool. And then you would think, what length? Because he's only 6'1". Got arms like a NBA center. So when you watch his tape, you think he's taller than he is. He looks taller than he is. But them long arms and that lanky frame is different. He uses his length as an effective coverage tool, which I was just talking about. Can be hard to throw over the top of him because of his technique, his speed, and those long arms. And he posted 14 career interceptions with 6 return for touchdowns. That's amazing. In 3 years, he got 6 pick sixes. He got 3 his freshman year and 3 last year as a junior. It's crazy. Let's talk about his weaknesses real quick and we'll get you out of here. Below average foot slide to match the release. So he sometimes has problem shuffling left to right to match the release of the receiver. Has issues staying in phase on break points, and that's because he's trying to get that ball. He's trying to get that football, so that's why he had issues right there. His aggressiveness makes him a double move target. Again, trying to get that football. Marcus Peters needs to become a more disciplined playing high to low in zones. Again, trying to get that football, so he jumped to low stuff sometimes. Plays past his toes, leading to transition and balance. And what that means is his technique is not always balanced. His upper body is not centered over his lower body, and he can get out of phase, get knocked down, or even be off balance when the receiver breaks in or out, or even stops and curls up. He's a grab and drag tackler, lacking play strength, and because he's 166, he's not the strongest guy out there, and we know that. But you're gonna have that guy in there to cover people. But the thing is, he's a willing tackler. That's the difference. He's a willing tackler. Not saying he's great at it, but he don't mind going in there, sticking his nose in there, trying to get people down. So that's my 2 cents on Emmanuel Forbes, and I think the Saints will have a great pickup at number 30 in this NFL draft, and that's my draft. I've already done the draft. I'm just counting down from back to front. So I appreciate you guys going on this journey with me, and we're gonna try to get them all in before not this Thursday, but next Thursday when the draft comes. So be on the lookout for the rest of these. Appreciate everybody's support. Hit the like button, subscribe, and comment, and share. So appreciate everybody for coming through, even those in the Who Dat Nation. Peace, y'all.